Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because, well, we are about to explore a premise that feels like it's straight out of a cinematic thriller. I mean, we all just go about our days trusting our eyes, our ears, our memories, right? We completely assume that the everyday reality we experience is simply the hard, factual truth of the world around us. But the fascinating and, let's be honest, slightly unsettling reality of how our brain perception actually creates reality is quite different. The world you're experiencing right at this very moment, it's a carefully constructed narrative. It's a highly edited simulation built entirely by your own mind in real time.
So, I want to start by posing this ultimate question to you. What if everything you see is a lie? Take a second right now and just look around the room you're in. Notice the colors, the solid feel of your desk or chair, the random sounds in the background. It all feels impossibly real, doesn't it? But we really need to challenge that immediate gut-level trust you have in your own senses, because science actually shows us that your brain is keeping secrets from you. It's constantly filtering and manipulating data way before you even have a chance to consciously process it.
At the end of the day, reality is a construct. Your brain is absolutely not a passive mirror just perfectly reflecting the universe back to you. Instead, think of your brain as think of it like a hidden, incredibly skilled film director. It takes all the chaotic, overwhelming sensory input from the world, the raw footage, so to speak, and meticulously edits it. It literally cuts out what it thinks is boring, enhances what it thinks is important, and then stitches the whole shebang together into a smooth, coherent movie that you call your life. You aren't experiencing the universe directly. You're just experiencing your brain's customized documentary about the universe.
Okay, let's dive into part 1, the reality illusion. To really understand how this hidden director operates, we have to recognize that there is a massive, massive gap between objective reality and perceived reality. Objective reality is the raw, unfiltered data of the universe. We're talking electromagnetic waves, vibrating air molecules, chemical compounds, stuff like that. But your brain simply can't process all of that raw data. It has to translate it. So it converts those electromagnetic waves into colors and those vibrating molecules into sound. The perceived reality you exist in is a heavily edited, biologically restricted version of the truth. It's a useful approximation for sure, but it's designed to help you survive, not to show you the objective truth.
So, how is this perception altered? First, just consider optical illusions. Think of how a completely flat chalk drawing on a sidewalk can look exactly like a gaping 3D hole. These aren't just fun party tricks, they are literal proof that our eyes can't always be trusted. They totally expose the shortcuts our visual system takes to guess what's right in front of us. Second, we have sensory deception. This happens when our brain makes quick assumptions based on past experiences, basically filling in gaps where data is missing. And third, all of this ultimately comes down to realistic biological mechanics, neurons firing in selective patterns. Your brain is constantly highlighting certain neural pathways while muting others just to create the specific image you see right now.
Moving right along to part 2, blind spots and filters.
You know, it's not just about how the brain translates raw data. It's also about how it handles the sheer, overwhelming volume of it. Every single second, millions of bits of information are hitting your sensory organs. That's a literal data storm. If your brain processed all of it consciously, you would overload and short-circuit instantly. To survive this, your brain uses selective attention. This is the cognitive process of focusing on one specific object while simultaneously tuning out irrelevant details. It's exactly why you can completely miss a person in a gorilla suit walking right through a basketball game if you're only focused on counting the passes. Your brain acts like a strict bouncer at a club, deciding which sensory inputs get into your conscious awareness and which get tossed out on the street. This means you are completely missing massive parts of what is happening right in front of you, all the time, simply because your brain deemed it irrelevant.
Which brings us to part 3, the fiction of memory.
Now that we've seen exactly how our immediate perception is edited in real time, let's look at how we actually store those filtered experiences. Let's talk about false memories. This is a psychological phenomenon where a person recalls something that did not happen or recalls it completely differently from how it actually occurred. Look, our memories aren't perfect video recordings that we just press play on. They are reconstructive fictions. Every single time you remember something, you aren't pulling up an original file, you are actually rebuilding the event from scratch using the current state of your brain. And in that rebuilding process, details can be entirely fabricated without you ever even realizing it.
The unsettling truth is right there. Your internal record is flawed. I want you to think about your absolute earliest childhood memory for a second. Really picture it in your head. Try to see the lighting, the people, the emotions you felt. Now, what if I told you there is a very high statistical probability that this memory never actually happened the way you remember it? No way, right? But it's true. Your brain's internal editing process, which is constantly influenced by stories you've been told and photos you've seen over the years, has very likely altered the truth of that exact moment. You are remembering the edited cut, definitely not the raw footage.
All right, let's look at part 4, the bias trap. So, if our immediate perception is heavily filtered and our memories are essentially reconstructive fictions, how in the world do we function with these flawed internal records? Well, we rely on confirmation bias. This is the tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms one's pre-existing beliefs. Your brain doesn't like being wrong, and it absolutely hates the intense mental effort required to change its worldview. So it uses this bias as a sort of well-meaning trick. It acts like a spotlight, only illuminating the facts that agree with your established narrative while safely leaving any contradictory evidence in the dark. It's a clever energy-saving mechanism, but it effectively locks you inside your own constructed reality.
And finally, we arrive at part 5, the dopamine loop.
This entire illusion we've been talking about, filtering perception, altering memories, reinforcing biases, it's all driven by a primal chemical reward system. Let's walk through it. Step 1 is the trigger. Think of a notification ping on your phone, or that sudden urge to check your feed. Step 2 is the action. You click, you scroll. Step 3 is the dopamine release. Your brain rewards you with a tiny, powerful hit of a feel-good neurotransmitter, just for discovering new information. And step 4, repeat. This loop is a basic survival mechanism, originally designed by evolution to reward us for finding food or social connection. But today, this exact biological circuitry is tied directly to the modern crisis of social media addiction.
It has literally become a chemical trap in the digital age. Modern social media platforms, algorithms, and apps are perfectly engineered by developers to exploit this specific dopamine loop. They hijack the very system your brain uses to determine what is real and what is valuable. By controlling the dopamine, these platforms can effectively shape your selective attention, reinforce your confirmation bias, and ultimately alter your daily perception of reality itself. They are turning your brain's natural reward system entirely against you.
So, we've explored how your perception is heavily edited, how your memories are reconstructive fictions, how your biases lock you into a specific worldview, and how dopamine can be hijacked to control your attention. Which leaves us with this final, lingering question. Can you trust your own mind? The next time you feel absolutely certain about something you saw, something you remember, or something you deeply believe, I want you to just take a breath and pause. Remember that hidden director editing the film of your life. Keep questioning your immediate perceptions long after this explainer ends, because as you now know, the most fascinating reality of all is the one hiding just beneath the surface of your own mind. Thanks for joining me on this one.